Gaming in 2025 has been up and down like Lavender Brown's drawers. See the previous video on the day if you want full context on that reference, because there have been massive hits this year. Monster Hunter Wilds is currently destroying the charts. Marvel Rivals, and I know that came out in the tail end of 2025, but I'm sorry, 2024 rather. It is still completely dominated the shooter genre throughout this year. But looking at more a focused console affair, at least of the first, and at this point in time, is Microsoft and Xbox really even a first-party service anymore? Because now they're just going everywhere. And whatever happened to that Xbox Series X Pro cylinder gimmick? Like, shouldn't that have come out by now? I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy. But how they're moving all of their games to all of the different platforms right now, including the PS5, yeah, people might actually have a reason to turn back on their console because it hasn't really been anything of note to come out exclusively on the PS5. Like, I'm sure people are playing Rivals on PlayStation, but recently the only reason to pick up a new copy of anything is because of Xbox games coming over, which is absolutely wild to think about, especially as somebody who grew up at a time when Xbox first entered the market. Does anybody remember The Rock? Okay, I know that we all, justifiably so, and even at the time I was never really a big Rock guy, but he was at the official launch event? It's just wild to think about, and he was still like active in the Fed at the time, not the way that he is right now, trying to do his weird final boss thing. Don't worry, guys. Eventually, that John Cena heel turn is going to pay off when he can carve out enough time to go over to Brussels for a minute, do one promo, and then make you wait for a month for the match. And it's like, oh my god, it's such a mess. But hey, John Cena finally turned heel, right? That's what everybody wants, and you did nothing with it. Such great booking. Much intrigue. How did we get here? All right, Xbox reveal The Rock and all that stuff. But hey, maybe people will finally get an opportunity to play and experience how great Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Oh, I'm sorry. God. Oh, I just thought about the gameplay in that, and I thought about the story, and I just did what a lot of people did who played that on release. I mean, holy crap. There was just I think over the past weekend, or within the past couple of weeks here, a supercut of, was it Mahler, Metal, and Az just went up on the EFAP channel, and bro, like, I watched Mahler play that game, and he played it more than a lot of people did, and holy shit, what a slug that was. Like, Troy Baker does a convincing enough impersonation of a young Harrison Ford, better than what Harrison Ford could do in the Dial of Destiny, but let's keep it a buck. Like, that game sucked ass, and it flopped for a reason. There were rumors at the beginning of the year that April was looking like a good month for Xbox games on PS5, and that's certainly beginning to look like the case. We already know Forza Horizon 5. I remember when it just used to be Horizon Motorsports, the acclaimed open world racer. Yeah, all of those Horizon games I think do extremely well. Like, I think I have 3 or something like that. Not 3 individuals, but I think I have 3, maybe 4, or maybe it's 4. I don't know. Will make its PlayStation debut the 29th of April. There's also credible rumors that Machine Games well-liked Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. That's funny how that narrative ends up pivoting now, because it was the award-winning, oh, everybody loves this game, the best Xbox game in like a generation. Now it's just well-liked. We'll precede it on the 17th of April. Now, World's Edge, the team behind Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition, that's an ancient-ass game, has released patch notes for the iconic strategy game's next major update. While it doesn't specifically state a PS5 release, it heavily implies that a port will launch alongside the patch in mid-April. That's kind of crazy, too, because there's also been rumors that there's a Gears of War 1, 2, and 3 remaster that's on the horizon that is earmarked for PS5, and also the Master Chief Collection coming over to PS5, and that will be a crazy day that you can go ahead and fire up your PlayStation and be Master Chief over there. That's a foreign concept, man. I guess at this point in time, like, he's not quite cooking the same way Sonic was at the point in time where you could, fire up your GameCube and play the director's cut of Sonic Adventure 2. Not exactly hitting the same way anymore, because it's been a long time since anybody's given a shit about the Halo franchise. But that's the thing, man. Microsoft, because they cannot handle their first-party IPs anymore, their first-party studios, they have to branch out. And as somebody who primarily plays on PC at this point in time, I like the fact that, exclusivity is going out the window. But, hey, man, you can't shake the whole nostalgic feeling that there's something cool about, console exclusivity. PlayStation throughout the years it had a roster of terrific games, and now not so much. Hey, will you guys play Horizon? And it's like, no, nobody wants to play Horizon. That shit's ass. Worst thing that happened to Sony was, that first game catching fire. Because they thought that, oh god, finally we have our girl boss, but everybody's like, alloy? Like, are we talking about jewelry or some shit? Like, fuck off, I don't want that. But Microsoft, I hope Emergence Day is good, but when was the last time anybody gave a shit about Gears of War? Probably with Gears of War 3. Hence why they have to remaster games from that time frame. Why the Master Chief Collection is still one of the best-selling Xbox title going, because Halo hasn't really been hitting since Reach. Ever since Bungie left to go do such great things. Yay, like Destiny. Remember how that was supposed to be like a 3 or 4 part multi-game 10-year project? And what do they have to show for it? Oh yeah, right. But you had Microsoft. You had Microsoft owning several big studios, okay? And now they're synonymous with closing studios, even if they do perform. Hey, how's it going, Tango Gameworks, Hi-Fi Rush? It sold well. It's one of those little indie niche games that the likes of Matt Booty want, but we don't want your game to succeed. We want other games to succeed, so best of luck in your future endeavors. But there was a point in time where Microsoft, if you don't recall, okay, they were tied at the hip with BioWare. If you recall, right, like they were making, Jade Empire was Xbox exclusive. Same with Knights of the Old Republic. It might have had a PC port. I'm pretty sure it did have a PC port. But the first Mass Effect for a very long time, until they released the trilogy much later in the PS3's life cycle, like Mass Effect 1 was exclusive to Xbox. And now we can check in with what BioWare is doing now that they have the lay of the land and the opportunity to sell as many copies to as many people as they want, and hell, even go to their second home in PlayStation and give away their most recent release for free in Dragon Age: The Veilguard, entice people to, hey, it's an opportunity now that there's kind of a lull in the market. Come and play this game. Big, sprawling, dozens of hours of gameplay, and hell, we'll give it away with your PS Plus subscription this month. And well, Dragon Age: The Veilguard bombs on PlayStation Plus. BioWare can't even give this game away. Oh shit, it almost worked. You tried real hard, and well, ended up failing spectacularly. And I mean, it makes sense, right? Because when PlayStation Stars brings 80% player boost to overlooked PS Plus games, like whenever they try to put it in that spin cycle, it generally ends up working, right? Like, you're giving a game away for free. Well, it's included in your subscription price, so it all makes sense right there. But if you recall, there were also 3 games included in the March content drop, and well, let's just say it worked for one, didn't quite work for another, and I guess the jury's still out on the third. But if there was any doubt left that Dragon Age: The Veilguard is one of the biggest gaming failures in recent memory, this should put it to rest. Yeah, this has to be the final embarrassment for this game, right? Like it absolutely died to death upon release on every platform. EA even came out and said that it, by 50% underperformed expectations, and now you're giving it away on PlayStation and ain't nobody playing this stuff. Like, bro, pack it in, pack it up. It's a wrap. 4 months after launch, the Veilguard, Electronic Arts, it gave the game away for free on PlayStation Plus, hoping to reignite interest in the title that had already been rejected by most of the gaming community. The outcome, absolute disaster. Oh no, who could have saw that coming? Okay, I'll put my hand down. Despite being handed out at no cost to millions and millions of subscribers, the Veilguard couldn't even crack the top 10 most played PlayStation games in March, according to True Trophies, which tracks over 3.4 million active PlayStation and network accounts. The game barely reached 15th place in player engagement. For context, it was outperformed by the Cowabunga collection, which, yeah, I highly recommend. I mean, like, there's a ton of great games in that little collection right there, ranging all the way back to the arcades, the NES, and the SNES. Like, if you get Turtles in Time for free, like, that's totally worth the download right there. And then you also get Tournament Fighter, the Manhattan, it's not the Manhattan Project, that's a totally different bomb. Actually, one that's fairly analogous to BioWare getting nuked. That is well worth your time. Yeah, a retro collection of decades-old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games, a humbling reality of what is supposed to be a major release for one of EA's premier RPG studios. This isn't just a poor showing, it's a complete rejection. If players aren't even willing to download a game when it's literally free, it speaks volumes about how much the audience has turned its back on the franchise. No. It's not that players turn their back on the franchise. You take a look at the screenshots and you just go back and refresh your memory memory for everything that was going on at this time. It was BioWare that turned their back on the audience. Nobody wanted this. People wanted another Dragon Age game. That is a franchise that is not the biggest. It's not the most prominent one in BioWare's repertoire, but it is still one that is very well respected. And if they would have released a Dragon Age game, it would have been very successful. But they didn't. They decided to Fortnite and modern day up some fossilized skeleton of an action RPG, think that, hey, it's been a minute since we've done a Dragon Age game. Fuck it. We'll just go ahead and make this a dark fantasy. We'll tell people it's a dark fantasy, but in reality, yeah, it's just going to have non-binary shame sessions. It's going to be a narcissistic assholes, a pronoun reveal party, and some of the ugliest character designs you are likely to ever see. It's a mess everywhere. I'm not even sure if it's still cracking 4 digits on Steam. Tracking the numbers, it's impossible to over on Xbox. And, physical copies of the games, the price dropped to $24.99 within 4 months. GameStop slashed its trade-in value to $22. What was that, like a week and change after release? Players weren't just uninterested. They were actively rejecting the game. It was... I don't know, man. Like, we're not going to get the financials of it, and Ubisoft was a heavy player when it came to the bombing run of 2024. But the Veilguard, that one is definitely, okay, like, it's the biggest failure for EA on the year. And while we can't definitively say it was the biggest flop of the year, it's probably the one that I think is the most disappointing, because Ubisoft has been atrocious for a long time. But there is, like, even as somebody who viscerally hates with every fiber of my being Mass Effect Andromeda, there was still some hope that BioWare could turn it around, because it's BioWare at the end of the day, man. Okay, like, it was a stamp of quality. It was an assurance that there was going to be something tremendous at the end of that journey if you were to just go ahead and part with $60, $70 or $80 at this point in time. But if you were to go ahead and give them your money, they would reward your trust with a compelling gameplay across a very, very deep roster of mechanics. But watching all of that gameplay of the Veilguard, bro, it was as deep as a puddle in the breadth of a thimble. It was trash all the way down. And no, we're not just talking about Tash right there. Every aspect of this game was atrocious. It deserved to fail, and them not even being able to coax people out of the woodworks to give it a try for free lets you know that the modern audience does not exist. Pandering to them will actively kill your game, and if studios don't pick up on this trend, gaming is going to go the way that it did in the 1980s, and we're heading for a spectacular crash. And hell, you take a look at certain metrics, and we might already be there. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.